Do you have to go? Do you have to go? I know that might seem a bit radical, and there is a lot of old triggers and activations and histories for many people and their family systems around the holidays. Hey everyone, Irene, Lyon here, and welcome to this entire world of nervous system health and healing. We got a question in from one of our students. Her name is Kaitlyn. She submitted a video asking some advice, and I figured what a great way to A, answer a question from a student, and also B, provide some information to all of you out there. Now, I will play it. She's given us permission to play it for you. Bear in mind that she, Kaitlyn, is currently in one of my courses, the 21-day nervous system tune-up. I know many of you have just started this because we just did a cyber sale. Thank you for joining if you have. So the context I'm going to lay out is around those of you, or for those of you who are already learning about your nervous system. You're bringing in nervous system basic practices that I teach in my classes and courses. If you aren't there yet, that's cool. Have a listen, and then maybe after this, go over to my site and start one of my classes, download one of my audio samplers, or start the 21-day nervous system tune-up. And the reason I mention that is when we are faced in stressful holiday times, family stress, that kind of stuff, we really want to have resources and tools and practices and understanding for what might be going on in the family dynamic. And it can sometimes really help when we understand what's going on from a nervous system point of view. So we'll play Kaitlyn's question and then I'll come back with some answers.
Hi Irene, my name is Kaitlyn Osborne and I am taking the 21-day nervous system tune-up course. And I had a question as we go into the holiday season and seeing all of our families. And personally, for me in my situation, I don't live near my family, and so I'm going to visit them for Christmas and coming into a different environment than what I have chosen to live in. My question is, do you have any advice, tips and tricks, and wisdoms as the holiday season is upon us and we go into family situations that, again, for me are very stressful, and my family is really high-strung and they've normalized this a lot. So, I've tried to have conversations about the learnings that I've had in this course as well as other things that I'm working on in my life, and it's kind of just brushed off, not taken that seriously, and it's more the mentality in my family of just push and power through, just that normalization of everyday stress. And so for me, I'm in a totally different environment that is very helpful for my healing process, but going back in to that stressful environment and wondering how to work with it. And I've read the 7 steps to de-stress, so bringing that into it. But I just wanted to ask the question if there was anything else you recommended as everyone goes to their family and goes into different environments that maybe don't support them the best.
All right, so the first thing I am going to put out there, I am not saying you should follow this, Kaitlyn, or anyone listening to this, but it's just the first thing that came to mind when I watched your video and I considered the potential stress and friction and misalignment with this family system of yours. Do you have to go? Do you have to go? I know that might seem a bit radical, and there is a lot of old triggers and activations and histories for many people and their family systems around the holidays. Now, I'm not saying sever ties with family. Now, there is an instance, and I know many people who have had such horrific, abusive, adverse upbringings that they do have to completely sever ties from their family system. Now, there is a case for that. Some people I know have to literally move countries to get away and even flee from a very abusive, not just family system, but culture. Now, let's just say that isn't the case. You want to keep connection. Why not, say, you know what, this year I think I'm just gonna do my own thing. Why don't we plan something in March? Why don't we plan something in April? Why don't we do a summer holiday? That kind of thing. Now, the reason I'm suggesting this is we have to remember we're adults. I'm an adult, you're an adult, Kaitlyn. As adults, we have the right to choose what we do with our time. And I know that might, again, seem like there's this inner voice saying that there's no way I could do that. This person will get mad, this person will get sad, I want to see my nieces and nephews. I get it. But when we are starting to heal our nervous system and we're starting to break out of old conditioned patterns, personality behaviors that we've had to build to survive a family system, let's just say, it can sometimes help to have some distance so that you can really solidify, grow your capacity, and do what you want to do. So I'm just going to throw that first piece out there. Again, I know it might seem a little radical, can't say, there's no reason you couldn't call, have a Skype session, a Zoom session, send a gift, that kind of thing. But as human beings and adults, we need to take care of ourselves. And of course, if we have little ones, kids, we need to take care of them. And so again, I've heard so many stories where adults are so stressed because they know when they go to family dinner, so-and-so is verbally abusive to the kids, or so-and-so does this to the kids, and I can't stand watching it. And I say, well, why go? An animal in the wild wouldn't put their cubs into a toxic, abusive situation. They just wouldn't. They would run the other way. They'd find somewhere else to live. So that's the first thing I will let you and everyone just ponder. The second thing, how can you, let's just say you go, how can you not worry about trying to teach your family system about what you're learning? Now, this is also something that can get some of our students into trouble, is they will have this aha, this light bulb, this is why our family system is so screwed up. This is why Uncle so-and-so is addicted. This is why little Johnny has ADD. And you're learning all this amazing stuff, and that's wonderful for you. But when a system, a family member hasn't actively engaged and isn't wanting to learn this stuff out of their own volition, it will be threatening to them, typically, for someone who's so happy and so interested to try to teach them about the nervous system. Some people just aren't ready, and some people never will be ready, and we have to be okay with that. So again, best practice, when you know there's misattunement and misalignment with the family system, and they're really not interested in healing generational wounds, figuring out why they're always stressed, there's always fighting, or there's always shutdown, or whatever it might be, stay in your lane, use the resources and tools, and I'll get into that in a second, that you are learning, and have empathy. If anything, I think that is something that we can have when we understand nervous system physiology, is we do see things differently and we go, wow, that's why that happens. And look at it as, you're going to a zoo and you're just being observant of how these dynamics happen. It could be fascinating to really just look and be there as a daughter, as a niece, as a sibling, and just be with that family system in a way that is, we could say, surface level, right? You're probably not going to have deep conversations about healing intergenerational trauma and the past life trauma that you're remembering and the procedural memories you're releasing and the shaking responses, that's for you. And so again, this isn't just for you, Kaitlyn, this is for all folks here who are finding this work and are just, whoa, you want to share this with the whole world. Not everyone in the whole world is ready for this, nor wants to be ready for it, and we have to be okay with that. The next thing I will say is, let's just say you're there with family. Do you have to stay in the house? Can you be in your own space so you can go home or go to a hotel room or a rental unit and be on your own? Is that possible? That is one way to mitigate being constantly in that toxic soup, and then you have an ability to resource and do your own thing for portions of the day. Let's say you can't do that due to finances, or there's just nowhere to stay. Let's say you live in the country or something like that, or the family does. How can you have boundaries in the space, the family space? Now, of course, if the system isn't used to you setting boundaries, that could cause some friction. So again, you have to be calculated. You have to be tempered with how the boundaries are made, because you don't want to spike up more survival stress, which will then make it harder on you and everyone else. But how can you instill little bits of boundaries? How can you say, you know what, I'm gonna go for a walk, or let me go get the groceries. Oh, we need milk, I'll go get that. Or there's kids, let me take them out. There's a dog, let me take the dog out for a walk. No, I feel like being alone, right? Those sorts of ways that you can have boundaries so that you have little breaks during your time. The other thing is strong routine. So again, this kind of falls into getting outside, going off and doing your own thing as much as you can. But let's just say there is nowhere to walk and you can't escape. Go into the bathroom, lock the door, have a very long shower, have a long bath, turn the tap on, flush the toilet if you need to get some healthy aggression out, or you need to run on the spot to get some fight-flight energy out. How can you have little breaks where you get creative and you keep releasing, as I say in some of my analogies, the balls from your swimming pool? For those of you who don't know that analogy, it's my famous swimming pool and beach ball analogy. It's from one of my videos called Healing Trauma. We'll pop that near here. But how can you keep the balls out, and how can you keep your capacity as big as possible? And then the basics. Can you stay connected to the ground? Can you stay oriented to the world around you? Can you see nature around you? Are you able to notice your breath? Are you tensing the whole time and you're not letting that tension go? So how can you, throughout the day, throughout dinner, just like you're going to a dentist appointment you don't want to go to, rather than being clenched the whole time and then have a migraine headache at the end of the day, or have your guts be all in flips, how can you keep titrating? How can you keep releasing the tensions that are building? How can you soften the face, the eyes, the jaw? Movement is so important in these situations. So that's why I say, can you get out for a walk? Can you get into a shower, get some good hydrotherapy going, some hot water, some cold water, just to stimulate the blood, to stimulate the body, all those sorts of things. The next thing I'll say is help. So there's something to be said about you're in a, let's just say, a family system. There's a lot of sympathetic charge. Help. Clean things, wash dishes, volunteer to cut the carrots, play with the children. That's why I said take the dog out if there is a dog. Ask, is there anything I can do that you might need help with, right? And it's possible that, your family system are all martyrs and they don't want you to help and do anything like that, and then you can't push that. But is there a way that you can be active and a little more busy, but not in a way that's frantic and anxious, but just to keep that sympathetic going a little bit? But then you want to make sure that you have downtime so that you don't burn out. That is all I want to say for this. Again, first thing, do you have to go? Radical, I know. How can you have boundaries, but of course be cautious with those because you don't want to spike up more stress. How can you be resourced? How can you use all the tools that you've been learning through me and my courses so that you stay connected, you stay in the environment, you keep releasing the stored up stress, the emotions, all those sorts of things. And then how can you keep busy and just be engaged in a way that isn't about deep conversations about healing the planet and healing your nervous system and all the bad things that your family system did to you? How can you just make it really simple? Talk about the weather. Talk about something that isn't, a world event that is super duper stressful. This is why I think watching funny movies, playing puzzles, playing games, Christmas movies. I don't watch these things, but I know there's a reason why people have their favorite things at Christmas. Everyone can connect and you know the story and the plot, but it's a way that everyone can be together in an aligned way. I hope this has been useful, Kaitlyn and everyone here. Like I said, for those of you who haven't started to learn about your nervous system and you haven't started to cultivate growing capacity and all these tools of staying connected to self and the environment, now is the time to start. There's no reason you can't start now for this current holiday season, but let's just say you're locked in, you gotta go. Next holiday season, how can you make it different? Or the next time there's a family gathering, can you go in with some of these ideas so that you come out a little more resilient, not super stressed, and not traumatized? Because why do we want to put ourselves into situations that are going to traumatize us over and over again when we know that that is the history of going into these family dynamics? So thank you for listening and watching, everyone. Again, thank you, Kaitlyn, for your question. I have a feeling this will hopefully help some of you who are not too sure what to do about the upcoming season. Take good care, and we will see you next time.